Quao. Obondai Quao.
Feels kind of awkward.
No, you're a big man.
You're supposed to be
That's
there,
the whole story.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm just loving it. I'm on vacation.
Okay, that's
So,
great.
My vacation is to sit at this side of the dial. Yeah, Charlie, how are you?
We are all right.
Yesterday I heard you saying that Charlie, your coach Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for once.
Oh,
He had got his tactics right.
Yeah.
And so you give it to him.
Oh yes, that he will get credit for. No
Yes.
doubt about that.
I want to ask all Arsenal fans that they can migrate to Man U in the meantime, whilst they think of what to do with Mikel Arteta. Because Man U team na yeye. So Kokui, Samens and all the people, please. As Man U is taking new supporters for the next 6 months. You can join them. Then when things correct, you can go back. Yeah, Charlie.
But Liverpool too were
No,
they had no time for jokes.
You know, they say Liverpool and Man U, they are like twins. When we collected 7, you collected 6. When we score 7, you score 6. So we are brothers in crime. Yeah,
All right.
Charlie.
Yeah, let's get into the newspapers.
Yes, you know, there's so much happening. I don't even know where to start. There's COVID issues, there's politics, fire still raging. And last night, people sent me comments about roads. Can you imagine? Yeah, the people of Santo,
Hey!
around 1 a.m., they said, yeah, Aloski, you think election is over, so we forgot it. Is that our road? No. So we'll deal with all of that today. But Nathan, so the Daily Graphic this morning has a COVID-19 vaccine in the offing. Safety efficacy key concern. President assures nation. That's the big front page story.
Yeah.
Also, rejected ballots balloon, almost double the 2016 figure. And road traffic amendment bill passed, protects unborn child. This is a really good law we'll talk about later. The back page, Olympics PIP Wafa and Mediama Liberty share points. They also lead to let you know how to focus won over the weekend.
That was on Saturday.
Yeah, man.
The Ghanaian Times says, update on COVID-19. Government will procure vaccine for all.
Yeah.
That's according to the president. Fire ravages Kaneshi Market. 9 shops burnt. 2020 election data is safe. EC assures public. And market fires. Police nab suspected arsonist and launch a manhunt for others. That's on the front page of the Ghanaian Times.
One fire too many. In fact, this paper doesn't even have the latest, which occurred, I think, last night at Kaneshi Market. But the finder also says suspected arsonist arrested in connection with Kantamanto market fire. Security at the market beefed up, or markets beefed up ahead of Christmas. Other stories: increased funds allocated to MPs for development. John Kuma. Also, public institutions not using gift mix cautioned. And government to deploy safe, effective COVID-19 vaccine. Meanwhile, there's a very interesting story on page 13. ECG must crack down on illegal connections at marketplaces. This according to the fire service.
Okay, the Daily Statesman also talks about COVID-19 vaccines. President assures COVID-19 vaccine for Ghanaians will be effective and safe. Mahama making Ghana ungovernable, behaving like Trump but with violence. IDAC boss says Mahama is damaging his international reputation.
The new crusading guide, market fire, suspected arsonist busted. Also, allow MPs to spearhead developing their constituencies. John Kuma advocates for amendment of laws. Other stories: NDC supporters clash with police over Mahama's defeat. I think this is the Kumasi version.
Okay, and the publisher says we are not destroying 2020 polls data. That's according to the EC. Commentary: the case for Efutu MP Alexander Apenyo Markin, why Oseche Mensah Bonsu is a wrong choice for majority leader, and hot race for speaker. And there are 3 pictures here: Freddie Blake, Papa Owusu Kuma, and Justice Jones Doche.
The Chronicle leads with NDC hits the streets again, but EC punches holes in their tails. Also, suspected Kontamanto arsonist smoked out in Ho. Ewukugwa exit suspect in the cooler. And family widow fight over Asonaba Dapa's funeral rites.
Okay, the Economic Times says FDI surges for first half of 2020 amid COVID-19. Ghana bags $5.2 billion in oil money since 2011. That's according to the NRGI report. And 50% of every voice call made and data usage rates go to government as taxes.
All right, moving to the Herald. Chiefs, Christian Council, GB, and others silent on murders at 2020 elections, but pushing Mahama to concede despite irregularities. Also, Jean Mensah taking Ghanaians for granted as she picks and chooses questions to answer. Cocoba's Director of Finance chickens out at Oponi trial, and Emirates Airline returns to 143 destinations next year.
Okay, and the BNFT says more regional airports rather than national carrier at this time. That's according to Captain Amwa. Pharma sector pushes for more attention. Outlines 7 focus areas for new administration. Resilient banking sector will weather COVID-19 storm. That's according to Dr. Addison. And CPC to leverage after to turn ill fortunes around. Records further loss of $4.3 million in 2019.
Okay.
Shareholders still awaiting dividends after many years.
The informal leads with elections brouhaha. Accra chiefs urge calm as U.S. ambassador advises Mahama to proceed to court. Also, police warn NDC supporters to desist from unlawful demonstrations or face consequences. And democracy wins again as private members' bill passed into law. Road traffic offenders face stiffer punishments. This is a really great one. This is on page 2. Online, citynewsroom.com. Ghana will not be left behind in accessing COVID-19 vaccine. Anado. Also, beaches, pubs, others to remain closed heading into Christmas holidays. Meanwhile, plans underway to redevelop Kantamanto Market into modern shopping center. And NDC supporters storm Shah District Police Command join protest against EC. If you move to citybusinessnews.com, poultry producers lament shortage of feed. Hey, it will affect our Christmas chicken. Other stories. Passage of anti-money laundering bill will boost investor confidence, according to the E-Crime Bureau. And Dr. Addison is not panicking. He says negative 1.1% GDP growth is in line with their projections for economic growth. So not too serious to worry about. If you go to My Joy Online, US-based Ghanaian surgeon pleads guilty to federal healthcare fraud. Oh, Charlie, if it work there. Meanwhile, NDC demonstration against election verdict hits Kumasi. And again, beaches, pubs, and cinemas remain closed during Christmas, according to the president. And easy to initiate process to create new constituency in Guan. So this Guan matter is still up in the news. If you go to Star News, this is a strange or anything. Eastern region, man, 66, found dead in guest house after checking in with girl, 25. Full stop.
Hey!
That's just the story. Man, 66, found dead in guest house after checking in with girl, 25. Full stop. So that one is for you to discuss. Also in the same Eastern region, 2 motorbike riders crashed to death. Oh Lord. Fire guts part of Kaneshi Market, and Peace Council to NDC go to court for redress. So these are the stories. Now, I'm taking you to other places quickly. Ghana News Agency, fire burns 12 fabric shops at Kaneshi Market. 2 policemen, 2 others arrested for allegedly selling firearms and ammunition. And easy to initiate process to create a new constituency in Guan. So this Guan matter is still there. Then the BBC, EC malls options as travel bans on UK expand. Apparently there's a new coronavirus variant in the UK. Meanwhile, US reaches long-awaited deal for COVID-19 aid. So there's a lot of COVID-19 type stories in the news. Where do you want to start? COVID?
Well, since you're talking about COVID.
Yeah, the president gave his 20th. Can you imagine?
Yes, 20th update. 20th update.
Do you have it in the Times?
Yes, so that's in the Times.
Okay.
Page 17 of the Ghanaian Times says, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says the coronavirus vaccines approved in the United States and the United Kingdom will be made available and accessible to all Ghanaians. In a televised update on the state of the pandemic in the country last night, President Akufo-Addo said a team of experts from relevant institutions and agencies were working assiduously towards the procurement and deployment of the vaccines. The FDA, or the Food and Drugs Administration of the United States, and the Medicines Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency of the United Kingdom have approved COVID-19 vaccines. And there's a quote, Ghana, I assure you, is not going to be left behind in having access to the vaccines. I'm aware of the anxieties relating to the safety and efficacy of the newly developed vaccines. Government will ensure that the COVID-19 vaccines to be deployed in the country are effective and safe, end quote.
There are a couple of angles here. So the graphic leads to the same angle you use, but City News has another angle apart from what you added. It says beaches, pubs, others to remain closed heading into Christmas holiday. So that's the other thing he said yesterday at 8 p.m. There has been no further lifting of coronavirus restrictions following the president's update on the management of the pandemic in Ghana. The president announced that beaches, pubs, cinemas, and nightclubs will remain closed until further notice. Now, Ghana's borders by land and sea will also remain closed to human traffic until further notice, he added. The data tells us we are experiencing in Ghana clusters of cases linked largely to confined indoor places with poor ventilation. This is very important. We are experiencing in Ghana clusters of cases linked largely to confined indoor spaces with poor ventilation. President Akufo-Addo's last address was on November 8 when Ghana had 1,139 active cases of the virus. He warned that Ghanaians were letting their guard down and urged citizens to adhere to mask wearing, hand washing, the use of sanitizers, and social distancing protocols. And then Ghana's active cases had reduced from 1139 to 946 as of Friday, December 18. According to the president, there have been 52,675 discharges, 333 deaths, and 59,954 detected infections. And then he says hospitalization rates continue to be low. Treatment centers are virtually empty. And then he gives other details. So COVID is big in Ghana. Maybe, I don't know if I should just give you, since we're on the subject, the UK wants to...
Yeah, let's talk a bit about this.
Yeah, the EU wants to ban people traveling from the UK into various parts of that region because of COVID-19. Then there's also a new strain of coronavirus in the UK, which we are told is causing fear and panic. Now, the rapid spread of a new variant of coronavirus has been blamed for the introduction of stricter tier 4 mixing rules for millions of people, harsher restrictions on mixing at Christmas in England, Scotland, and Wales, and other countries placing the UK on a travel ban. And then we're told that this new variant is rapidly replicating other versions of the virus. It has mutations that affect parts of the virus likely to be important. Some of these mutations have already been shown in the lab to increase the ability of the virus to infect cells. We'll get you some more information about this. So I think this is the COVID angle. What else is big this morning?
Well, let's talk a bit about fires.
Oh, Lord.
And on page 3 of the Ghanaian Times says, market fires, police nab suspected arsonist, launch manhunt for others. And the police and intelligence agencies are reported to have arrested a suspect in connection with a recent arson in some markets across the country. Portions of some major markets, including the Kaneshi market, were razed down in less than 1 week, destroying properties running into millions of cedis.
Yep.
Police sources say investigations have identified one Daniel Da Komla 41 as a suspect involved in the Kantamante fire incident last week. A joint team of police and intelligence operatives left Accra last week Thursday in pursuit of the suspect and arrested him in a hideout in Ho in the Volta region the following day at about 10 p.m. Now, according to the police, initial investigations revealed that the suspect was an active member on various political platforms, inciting members to riot. Now, phone records show several conversations with other persons aimed at incitement to riot and possible conspiracy to attack state institutions.
Seriously? Well, whilst you are at it, and I know the story mentions it, we have a story from yesterday that fire guts parts of Kaneshi Market. Yeah. Now, the story says a section of the Kaneshi Central Market has been gutted by fire. The fire started around 11 p.m. on Saturday evening, destroyed some shops and properties. 9 shops were badly affected by a fire incident, and out of the number 6 shops were totally burnt, while 3 were partially affected. No casualties were reported. Now, don't forget, we had a market fire at Circle. We had a market fire at Kantamanto. We had a market fire at Kuforidia.
Yeah.
This is just from off the top of my head. And whilst we are on the fire issue, we are told that plans are underway to develop Kantamanto into a modern shopping center. This is on citynewsroom.com by Nashika Caesar. It says Gold Coast developers has disclosed that plans are underway to redevelop the Kantamanto market in the Central Business District into a modern shopping center. Construction of the new market, which will be named Kantamanto Shopping Complex, is expected to commence on March next year and be completed within a year. CEO of the company said traders will be temporarily relocated, after which they will be asked to return to occupy the new market stalls.
Well, since you mentioned fire, so some details from the Kaneshi market fire. So 9 shops got burnt, 6 completely burnt, and others got affected as well. Now, the fire service got there at about 1 a.m. and that's when they managed to douse the flames. But the fire started around 11 p.m. And according to PRO for the Ghana National Fire Service, Ellis Oko Robinson, now he confirmed this and said that the fire service would work with the ECG to address fire outbreaks. And he added that the cause of the Kaneshi fire was under investigation.
Now, there's a story on page 13 of the Finder on Fires before we move to the politics. It says ECG must crack down on illegal connections at marketplaces. This is fire service. Now, it says the Ghana National Fire Service has called on the Electricity Company of Ghana to undo illegal connections at marketplaces to avert the increasing incidence of fire outbreaks at such places. Ellis Robertson Oko, Divisional Officer 2, Head of Public Relations Fire Service, told the GNA that such checks were important because investigations into the fire incidents showed that most fires were caused by electrical faults. The call followed another fire outbreak at the Kaneshi Market on Saturday, after similar incidents were recorded at the Kantamanto market in Accra and other markets in the eastern and central regions. He said the markets had witnessed congestion over the years with new power connections, some of which were done illegally and haphazardly and must be checked, Mr. Oko said. All right, now, Nathan, I think the politics is also here. NDC in Kumasi, we have a story on citynewsroom.com. There's a couple in the New Crusading Guide as well. And the story is really from yesterday. Hafiz Tijani says that tension was high as supporters of the NDC protested against the Electoral Commission in Kumasi on Sunday morning. The protesters burnt car tires and chanted "No Mahama, no peace" as the opposition party continued to claim Mahama was a rightful winner of the 2020 election. The protest, which was led by Ashanti Regional Executive of NDC, was peaceful until some of the protesters stormed the Menchia District Police Command after they claimed some of their colleagues had been arrested. The angry protesters pelted stones and injured some police officers on duty and also caused damage to a vehicle belonging to one of the officers. Police later called for reinforcement and succeeded in dispersing the crowd. They moved to the Kumasi Jubilee Park where they burnt car tires, a situation which nearly resulted in a scuffle between them and a combined team of armed police and military officers. Now, there are lots of election-related stories around which I just think we should run through quickly.
Well, yes, IDEG, and that's the Institute of Democratic Governance, has their executive director, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, saying that former President John Mahama is destroying his international standing following his refusal to accept defeat after the December 7 elections, and also failing to indicate whether or not he would go to court to seek redress. So that's on page 3 of the Daily Statesman.
There are a couple of contrasting stories here. So the Herald says Christian Council, GBA, House of Chiefs, others are silent on 8 murders at 2020 elections. And they basically mentioned the names of the people who died: Zakaria Samira 12, Musa Husseini 14, Butwe Taki 16, Abdullah Ariyek 18, Tajuddin Mohammed 41, Dompre Emmanuel 36, and Abbas Ibrahim 30. And it says, whilst the organizations are asking the NDC to go to court, they are not condemning the murder. That's what the paper is saying. Meanwhile, the informer is actually saying the U.S. ambassador is advising Mahama to go to court as Accra chiefs urge calm. Okay, so in the Herald, they're saying the chiefs are not talking. The informer says the Accra chiefs are urging for calm. So those stories are good to read. Now, I think there's a story about the road traffic law which has been passed. I don't know if you have it, but I think it's a really good law which has it's a private members bill, and I think, where is it? I'm finding it for you. Private members bill that was passed, and it's what do you call it? One of the key developments over the weekend. Now, that story is on page 16 of the Daily Graphic, and there were a couple of interviews we did on that. We'll probably follow up on that later today on the Citi Breakfast Show. Now, here's the story. It says that Parliament has passed the Road Traffic Amendment Bill 2020, which is targeted at protecting the unborn child on the roads. Now, the bill seeks to amend the Road Traffic Act 2004, Act 683, to prescribe acts that constitute dangerous driving and cycling that result in injury or death of unborn children and related matters. Now, if assented to, the bill will ensure that the law recognizes the loss of an unborn child as a separate and distinct loss, and not only an injury suffered by a pregnant woman.
Okay.
Right? So if you knock down a pregnant woman, you are killing two people. Besides, it will impose harsher punishment on drivers and cyclists whose actions cause injury or death to an unborn child. Furthermore, it will impose a duty on a driver or a motor vehicle to, as soon as reasonable or reasonably practical, report to the police station the occurrence of an accident that results in the death of an unborn child. And then there are other angles of this story that are given.
If you go to page 5 of the publisher, they've got some accident stories. So I just ran through them. Police declare war against Apio drivers.
Oh Lord. Apio. Do they still sell Apio at stations?
Well, the police is saying that they want to end that and or drink driving episodes. Now, do you remember the Dompoase accident?
Yes.
Now, there's a very interesting revelation concerning that one. It says Dompoase accident driver was watching video on his mobile phone.
You can't be serious.
Now, the story written by Nana Ikuye says
wow.
Human error has been identified as the cause of the Dompoase accident that killed 2 people. Police investigators have realized that the driver of the car was watching a video on his mobile phone at the time. This reckless act on the part of the driver led to the crash, which unfortunately claimed 2 human lives. Chief Superintendent Emmanuel Eduboahene, the Ashanti Regional NTTD commander, openly bemoaned
he was
about
watching
the report. Yes.
On his phone while driving.
Yes.
I mean, how is that even possible? But I don't even get it.
So that, and then the third one says motorbikes lead accident deaths. That's according
Where is
to
that coming from?
a police report. Now,
give us the
it
details.
has been reported that motorbike knockdowns are the lead cause of road accident deaths in the Ashanti region in the last 2 years. Police 2019 statistics on reported cases of road accident deaths indicated that 409 people died through accidents and 244 of them were through motorbike knockdowns. During the same report and discussion from January to December 10, 2020, 518 people lost their lives through accidents and 306 were knocked down by motorbikes.
Let me give you two final stories. Producers of poultry products lament shortage of feed. Story on City Business News by Netele. Nete says consumers of poultry and its related products may have to revise their budget this festive season as producers of poultry anticipate an increase in the prices of poultry products. Now, they attribute it to an increase in the price of poultry feed, which in some areas has even become scarce. Now, a visit by City Business News to some poultry farms shows that some farmers are even selling off their birds due to the shortage of poultry feed. CEO of Fed Afrique Farms, Ernest Lati, tells City Business News the 2020 target of the company, which was to breed 100,000 birds, cannot be achieved due to a shortage and scarcity of poultry feed. Now, this farm is located in Okra district, a place called Aseseso. Fed Afrique began 2 years ago. Different deals are given, but basically, you're saying a bag of maize, which was sold on the market at 58 cedis 2 months ago, is now being sold twice the amount. The same goes for wheat and soya, which are the most important commodities for poultry farmers. So we need to keep an eye on this because we don't want our Christmas chicken interfered with. Let me end with the star news. Eastern region, man, 66, found dead in guest hotel after checking in with girl 25. A man believed to be 66 years had been found dead in a guest house in Koforidua hours after checking in with a lady who is 25 years old. I don't know why the age is important in the story. The man now deceased. That's not laughing matter. Now, who gave his name as William Ej to the receptionist at Adon Guest House? On board a red Toyota Corolla with registration number given, lodged at the guest house with the lady on December 19. This is just Saturday. According to the receptionist, on the next day, she found the man lying motionless when he entered the room in an attempt to clean. After several bangs on the door went unanswered. The lady who checked in with the man, however, was nowhere to be found. The owner of the guest house reported the incident to the police. They went to the scene and several medicines, including the following one: Vergix for men, deep heat spray, something, Unirub, Polar Ice, Bendroflumizate to something. Hey, Jesus Christ. Also a red bag containing personal clothes of the deceased, including some regalias, and a black handbag containing an amount of 2,000 cedis was also found. Oh Lord.
Some way.
Charlie. So on that sad note, we'll end this morning's later edition of the newspaper review. The names of the medicines, in the
Charlie,
don't go and read the story and look for the names of those medicines. Don't help you.
All right, Bernard, thank you very much. That was a newspaper review.